This is Will over at MCG Tech Talk, and today I'm going to talk about this guy. This is the Dell Latitude 5285 2-in-1 laptop? Tablet thing? This is actually probably due to the Surface Pro 4 and how fancy that became. This feels exactly like one. It's got a few of its own little refinements, considering that the Surface Pro 4 came out in, 2015? So it's like 2-3 years later. This guy right here it's a 12.3-inch screen. The resolution on that is 1920 by 1280, and it's got a pretty decent PPI. So I think it was 312, but I'm probably wrong on that. There's a lot of different configuration options that you can get with this. If you go to Dell's website, you can get the littlest CPU you can get is the i3-7100U. On the other end of the spectrum, you can also get this all the way up to an i7-7600U. The little i3 will come with 4 gigs of RAM, and the i7 will come up to 16 gigs of RAM. The version I'm looking at is the i5 version, 8 gigs of RAM. Also, this has a 500 gig M.2 drive, but Dell's website only offers up to 256. But luckily, that's not a permanent solution that I'll talk about later. It has a couple of different options for battery. You can get a 32 watt-hour battery all the way up to a 42 watt-hour battery, and then it also has like a long battery charge option, which, not gonna lie, I don't know anything about. But it's a little extra to get that compared to the regular 42, so it's better. Maybe it lasts a little longer, I'm not 100% sure. One thing that I'm a little disappointed in, and it's kind of standard now, is that these things don't come with keyboards. You have to spend $130 to get a keyboard. I do have a keyboard right here. It looks exactly like the Surface line. There are a few different variation. There's a few different things about this one that's actually kind of cool. I like the way the keyboard feels. It's a little chiclet. I prefer mechanical, but I don't think you're going to get a mechanical keyboard on something that's the size of a credit card. But overall, it feels very responsive. It locks in okay when it does this. There were a couple times where I was playing with it and it didn't lock in all the way, so I had to wiggle it just a little bit. But it went in pretty well. The kickstand in the back does pop out on its own all the way up to 150-degree rotation. But one thing that's cool, let me take this off first. One thing that is cool about this is that, let's see, there's two little buttons right here. Can you see them? What they do is they will actually pop the keyboard out. So you set it down, push it down, pops out. Boom! Look at that. I can't really see it very well because of my camera setup. And that functionality extends to the keyboard, so if you have this on and you do the same thing, let's see if I can't get it, it will pop out as well. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad that it's mechanical and not some random sensor, so that way it always seems to work until the springs die compared to something failing. On the back, you have the option for a fingerprint reader, and it also is Windows Hello compatible, so there's a Face IR camera that you can get with this when you're selecting your configuration for it. It's not something you can add on your own. This is definitely designed for business users. Average Joes might find this to be a little too expensive for general Facebooking. I mean, this would be great to read comics on if you had good wrist strength, because it is like 3 pounds, 2.7 pounds. But I'd like to read comics on this. It's like the perfect size for it. But I digress. It's a heavy, bulky machine. It's got Gorilla Glass 4 on it. So one thing that everybody forgets when they hear of Gorilla Glass, that it's unbreakable. It's not unbreakable. It will actually shatter very, very, very easily. But it's very scratch resistant. It's kind of like how a diamond is. So if you ever take a diamond, you try to scratch the diamond, it's not going to happen. But slam it against the floor or something, it can pop. Anyway, a couple other things that I like from this on the back is a little micro SD card here instead of it being on the side. So it's kind of cool, actually. I like that. It's hidden away, locked behind a little door, so that way nobody can just like accidentally touch it, pop it out, or get stuck in there. Let's talk about all the cool little ports and stuff on them. See if you can't see it. Here are two USB-C ports that also can output through DisplayPort, and both of them will charge. Either of them will charge the battery, so you don't have to accidentally worry about putting one in and blowing it out. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of scared. Put it in there once, started charging it, yanked it out, put it in the other one, see what happened. I did not blow this thing up, so that was cool. You have a full-size USB 3. And then up here you have your little volume keys and a 3.5mm jack, which is standard on everything except phones nowadays. Nothing really up here until you get to the power button. One thing that I noticed when I was turning it on is it felt like I had to hold the button down for about a second or two before it would come on. It's probably to keep people from accidentally pressing it on and off repeatedly, but it scared me for a second. I was like, oh no, is this thing broken? But it's not. You gotta hold it down for a second. If you look at this, there is no Windows logo anywhere on the bezel, except for, here. That doesn't count. Where they located the Windows key is over here on this side. So when you have it in tablet mode, you gotta make sure you have it. Right there. Little Kensington, or it's not a Kensington lock, but there's a little lock right here. I've never really used these locks, so I can't really say anything about it. NFC on the back, so that way you can get your Mevo action on. So I like this thing. I do like it. I mean, it's a Surface Pro 4, pretty much. I really like the Surface line. I have a Surface 2, and that thing's heavy, and I kind of wish I would have waited a little bit to get the Surface 3, but I really, really like those things. Those things were like really nice little premium tablet 2-in-1 things, and they're so cool. So there's no way I couldn't like this. Oh, another thing that's fancy about it is there is a fan in here, so that way it's not just passively cooled, so that should help with thermal throttling. Might get a little loud after some extended use, but I think that's a lot better than passive cooling where it's just heat sinks and just hoping for the best. One thing I also really like in the back is that there are 6 screws around here. Let's see, there we go. 6 screws around here. You can pop these screws off, and then you can replace parts in it, which is super cool. Because a lot of these, which is a knockdown for the Surface Pro 4, which I love, it's a pain in the butt to take apart. It's awful. These things, the premium devices generally nowadays all have glue, and it takes an hour and a half just to get apart. And if you get it wrong, if you get just a little, the whole screen's going to shatter. I've done it a few times. They're no fun. But here, you pop the screws out of the back, and then you can lift the whole back part off. You can't add RAM, but you can change out the wireless chips. If you get a better Wi-Fi in the future, you can do that. You can also replace your hard drive. So if you ended up wanting to spend like $600 on a 1TB M.2 drive, you could when you pop it in, reinstall Windows, or if you've cloned and made an image of it, keep going where you're going. So that's really, really nice. That's super cool. I feel that gives a little bit of it extends the life of these things quite a bit. Because I know I've personally had to tell a few people that they just need to take the Microsoft Store and get charged like $700 because I can't take some of those apart. But here, it's a little better. It's not as good as I'd like it to be, but it'd be nice if you could add RAM. Purchasing. These are two different items. This keyboard only goes to this thing right here. So if you want to have a keyboard and you don't want to do Bluetooth or a wireless one where you plug it into here, this is $130. This just seems to be a little excessive for this. Like, why can't you just add it into the cost and just make it all in one when you're buying out? This shouldn't have to be an extra thing. You should be able to sell. You should be able to buy these separately for when they fail. Like little things down here pop out, whatever. But they really, really, really need to start coming in together. It's like purchasing a laptop without a charger, without a power brick. Who would do that? It seems really excessive. It's very snappy. I really like the screen. The screen is super nice and bright, and you can see it it's okay in direct sunlight, but definitely the viewing angles could be a little better, but it's still a really good screen. Battery life, you're probably going to get about a day's use out of it, unless you're rendering and watching 4K videos on Netflix through the Edge browser. I'm reading some other people, and they're finding that low end, when they're really powering through it, can get about 6 hours, and some people are saying they can get about 10 hours out of it. So it should get you through a workday. Excuse me. Overall, this does feel like a very premium product, and it doesn't sacrifice some of the things, like expandability is really nice, especially if you don't want to add an M.2 drive. You can just add an SD card to it. You can also purchase this with a Qualcomm chip inside it, so that way if you wanted to connect data-wise through like Verizon or Sprint or AT&T, you can get if you had that chip. You have to make sure you order it before, because you can't get it after you've already bought it. But if you get it before, then you can put a SIM card in there and get some data through there, so that way you can actually be really mobile. If you're in a business where you're constantly on site, or you're just always going, and you don't want to hotspot your phone or try to find a Starbucks Wi-Fi, you really need to check your email. Boom! Look at this thing. Great for you. The low end of the spectrum, if you get the baby one, which I wouldn't really recommend, because 4 gigs RAM hurt. Really does, especially if you're trying to run Excel documents while also having Office Outlook open, and you're listening to Pandora, pause to YouTube video in Chrome. The 4 gigs is going to get taken up, and you're going to feel a lot of lag. 8 gigs, good. 16 gigs, best. Anyway, the low end is $900, but if you end up, and that's $900 for the slate. That's not counting the cost of the keyboard. The higher end of the spectrum, when you get all the bells and whistles, you're looking to spend about $2,000, which is about, that's kind of where these premium products are. Surface Pro 4, Surface Books, and all of that. But if you're looking for a product, if you're looking for something like this, if you're looking for a Surface Pro that is not, years old, and you want something, you can't really go wrong with this one. I do wish that the keyboard came together with it, but it's not a bad product. It's not a bad product at all. I'd carry one of these around if I had the opportunity to. I would definitely use it. I don't know how well it would work for like Photoshop and Premiere, but he's a good guy. It's a pretty good program. Or not program. Pretty good. What are these? 2-in-1s, laptops, slates. I guess 2-in-1. It's a good 2-in-1.